and welcome to another episode of Council Connections. This program is an opportunity for your elected officials to keep you up to date on the events, legislation, and initiatives that matter most. I'm Char Freedberg, and today I'm pleased to welcome back Ward 1 Councilmember Adrian Simmons. Thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Great to be here, and thank you for hosting.
Always a pleasure to be here, and I'm happy to host. So we've just passed some pretty significant changes to the city's election laws. Can you walk us through a few of those bigger changes and provide viewers some of the highlights?
Absolutely. Yeah, first thing to know about the election law changes is they're actually split up into two pieces. One's a charter resolution amendment, amending the city charter. The second is an ordinance amending our code of ordinances. So you're going to find the changes spread across those two pieces of legislation. But two or three of the highlights, one relates to how long can campaign signs be in front yards. Oh. So prior to that, there was really no definition around how long it could be. And this change says there's now a 60-day window prior to the election day that campaign yard signs can be up. And that was an attempt to balance, hey, we want people to be able to get their name out if they're running, but we also don't want the signs around town for a prolonged period of time. So right. I think that was a good decision there. Second one to mention relates to sort of the finance side of it. And the change is to require every campaign to open up its own campaign bank account. Okay. So prior to that, again, there wasn't an explicit requirement to have a separate bank account, but now that is explicitly stated, and that just sort of helps enhance transparency. Any monies for a campaign coming in or going out flow through that account. It also makes it easier when filling out the campaign finance reports of ins and outs, so providing that transparency. The third change, or maybe it really is not a change, but it was a sort of hotly debated item about whether or not the City Board of Appeals should remain as part of the appellate function if there was ever a disagreement on how to apply a campaign law. So some folks thought that that should go direct to the Prince George's County Circuit Court. Okay. Some folks thought, hey, we should retain the Laurel Board of Appeals as an interim step, as an option. Weren't able to find enough consensus, so it ended up remaining as it is. The Board of Appeals does appear as a step in the appellate process if desired. So, but those are some of the three bigger items for folks to be aware of.
All right, thank you very much for breaking it down, because a lot of people see the meetings and they're just like, what is going on? There's such a flood of information. We really appreciate you breaking it down.
You're absolutely, and it was 45 pages of edits.
Wow.
It was months and months of work. So it's definitely among the legislation that was a little harder to follow. So certainly, if all the folks have questions, feel free to reach out, and I'm happy to fill in. That's part of our role on council, is to help pass on that information to you.
All right, so as one of the city's legislators, speaking of which, what are some of the pieces of legislation you're proud to have authored and or have a hand in this session?
Yeah, great question. So one of them actually relates to the election law itself. When we first started the process, an objective for me was, whatever happened, I wanted us to be sure it was simple, it was clear, easy to communicate, as well as equitable for anybody who was involved in the process. So part of that in my mind was to have some clarity around applying to become a candidate. Mm-hmm. How long was that time window? Everybody sort of knew, and it was clear. So my idea was it should be a 90-day window running from like May to July. The proposed legislation drafted was to say it was a discretionary due date, and a discretionary time window. So we sort of met in the middle and said, hey, let's make at least a guaranteed 45-day window in order to allow somebody to learn that the applications are available, to be able to get an application, think about it, submit their application, and have a time window that works. So I was very happy to be able to introduce that piece and to have it pass in the final legislation. So two other items of note. Earlier this year, one I was very proud to have introduced and to have authored was related to the veterans and elderly tax credit we have for the city. So right now the city does have a credit, a real estate property tax credit. If you're a veteran, if you're elderly, over 65, you can apply and get a partial credit for the City of Laurel's portion of your real estate taxes. So number one, if you're not aware and you're in those categories, please sort of check that out. Mm-hmm. But the way the credit was written was that it expired after 5 years. So somebody could be receiving the credit year 1, year 2, year 3, and when it goes to year 6, it would just evaporate and you'd be back to what you were before. So some of that was constraints at the state level. which were later lifted, but I was able to introduce legislation that removed that 5-year expiration. And part of that, the impetus behind that is that if we're helping folks age in place, be able to stay in the home they've been in for a long time, especially on a fixed income, this really says, hey, we'd like to be able to make that possible for you by not having that evaporate after 5 years. So that's the second one. The third one to mention relates to our Citizens Advisory Committee for persons with disabilities. So I sort of stepped in as chair of that last fall, but one of the points of feedback I was getting was there were people who were sort of experts in helping folks with disability in our city, but maybe weren't residents just inside the city line. And so from that feedback, I went back and proposed legislation, also co-sponsored with Councilwoman Johnson, to say, hey, we're going to give first order of priority to city residents. We definitely want the City of Laurel residents to be able to step forward and serve on these advisory committees. But if there weren't enough folks to fill the seats, we could also include folks that were active in Laurel, serving folks with disabilities or had a disability themselves, to bring their expertise to the committee as well. So my hope there is to really just expand the ability for the city to get that input and to create access for people to participate in the process. Because everybody deserves a seat at the table, in the conversation. So, so those are sort of some 3 highlights on legislation I'm either authored or had been a part of making happen.
Those are incredible. So I know you've got a young family and you're a proud father. For evidence, we provide the Father's Day jokes.
Yes, that's a lot of fun. So this past week, I've been sharing with everyone the important health benefits of eating dried grapes. It's all about raising awareness.
Thank you very much for being part of that. But can you share some Laurel tips with us for families out there?
Absolutely, yeah. A couple sort of tips around town. And it's interesting to find out sometimes folks may know something but may not know the other, so parents like to share their tips. One is we have a splash pad, Emancipation Park, near the library. And the splash pad does have certain hours where the water gets turned on. So check with Parks and Recs for the exact time, but that can be a great summer event when you're just looking to break up your day a little bit, take the kids somewhere to have some fun. Of course, the playground itself is nearby, so to check out that splash pad. Something else to mention while you're at the library is PG County itself has sort of a summer reading program that you can get free nationals tickets. So my kids did this last summer. You get a little card, it's got certain reading boxes, and as you do 30-minute reading either with them or if they're old enough to read, they can read. You check off the boxes, and once you fill them up, you can take it back to the library and they give you a coupon to redeem for nationals tickets. So we went last year, took the family down there, a lot of fun going to the ballpark. It happened to be even free t-shirt giveaway day.
Oh, wow.
So it made for a great memory, and it was absolutely free, plus it encouraged the reading. So
absolutely.
I'm going to throw that. And one other tip I'll put out there too is related to pickup basketball. We've got our Laurel Armory on Montgomery Street. We've got the DiPietro Center down by Aldi. Both of those have different pickup basketball programs for kids to come in over the summer months. So you can get some memberships and be a part of that. So lots of good things to go for families around town. Oh, I'm going to throw in one more bonus one.
Ooh.
Discovery Park is one of my favorite playground parks for the kids that's tucked in around. So if you haven't been to Discovery Park with your kids, hop in the car and head on over and look it up on Google Maps, and I guarantee your kids will have fun.
All right, note to others, Discovery Park has a fun place for kids. So are there any other items that you're currently working on that you'd like people to know about?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a few things that are in the works right now. One of them is this weekend, actually. I'm going to be going down to the town of Snow Hill, which is on the eastern shore, to be part of a learning event for the Historic District Revitalization Program. And I'm looking to sort of gather information, to sort of connect with some of the town's members there, and sort of learn about what they did and how they did it to sort of really revitalize their downtown area. And that connects to some things. I've been talking to residents as well as small businesses on Main Street, gathering ideas. Anything from, hey, perhaps we should consider doing lights across Main Street or our section of Main Street, to perhaps we should widen some of the sidewalks to enable people to sort of more of a promenade. They can stroll more easily with families or couples. So that's something I'm working on. Certainly, if there are folks out there that have ideas to that end, please forward them to me, because I want to then put those together and then start talking with the city team on what may be possible.
With the city team, and also you're part of the Historic District Commission as well.
Correct, yes. And as a member of the Historic District Commission, there's sort of a passion for preserving the history. We want to be sure that we're renovating, we're keeping things fresh, but we also provide some unique charm to have some of that, historic look and feel. And but we can do that. And that's part of visiting Snow Hill is they've been able to achieve that. Hey, it feels modern and alive, but also has that historic charm. So it's a fun place to visit.
It's really nice.
So two other items that I'm sort of working on. Right now, folks may have lost track of, a council ago passed a mandatory composting ordinance that actually becomes effective for enforcement on July 1st, which is only a couple weeks from the taping of this, including with penalties potentially in December 1. So one to give people a heads up on, but something I've been working on with the city team is also to say, how can we make that such that everybody in the process sort of gets what they need, but we also be sure that we keep that focus on really encouraging the composting and not making it sort of difficult or hard for individuals. So there's some changes on that front. I believe the legislation is going to show up on the July docket, so folks might see some of the details of what that means. So you can keep your eye open for that. Again, feel free to reach out about information. Last thing I want to mention is I have a scheduled time with and also spoken with members of law enforcement and our state delegation just around the surge of sort of property crime related to sort of youth and juveniles. So there's been some changes in the state landscape. It's really a state legislative issue. Some changes were introduced 2022, 2021. And it seems like there's a real need to tweak the state law some. So we'll be working on some things. There might be some things folks will see coming out, but I do want to let folks know that I'm plugged into that. And likewise, if they have thoughts, opinions, ideas, suggestions, please send them along.
All right. And how can folks best reach out to you with any more questions and best ways to learn about your work, speaking of reaching out to you? Exactly.
So the best way to sort of track what I'm doing is to visit my council blog, which is adrianforlaurel.org. So the word for, F-O-R. And on there, it'll also give you ways where you can link through to my social media pages, be they on Facebook, and I'm probably going to add a new one soon. So adrianforlaurel.org. Also, you can simply email me at my city email, which is asimmons, S-I-M-M-O-N-S, @laurel.md.us, or give a call here to the council office, 301-725-5300. So all those are sort of great ways to reach out. And simply, too, if you see me around town, you see me at city events, please come on up. It's one of the joys of this job to be able to greet people, to say hi, and to learn about their stories, to help provide them information, help answer their questions. There's a lot of satisfaction being able to do that, and plus I enjoy meeting people.
All right. I bet a lot of people enjoy seeing you around town because you're a super friendly guy.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I try.
You succeed. Ward 1 Councilmember Adrian Simmons, thank you again so much for coming here today.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
And thank you for tuning in to this episode of Council Connections. I'm Char Freedberg, and I'll see you next time.